Hey there, it is Justin. I'm back, the Renegade Realtor. And I wanted to talk to you about what they're calling the everything bubble. Um, it's over my head, but I'm going to do the best I can. And I'm also going to try to relate it to housing, of course. Um, what I want to start with, I mean, there's so many things. I don't know where you start with something like this. We always had there is an asset bubble that is affecting the entire globe. That's huge, and that's probably the lowest common denominator of the everything bubble. Um, Housing is part of that. Housing is a commodity. Um, they say everything, all commodities are wildly inflated at the moment. And the old adage, what goes up must come down. So everyone's expecting a big crash. If you know who Michael Burry is, they made the movie called The Big Short about him. He's a legendary trader. He's predicting the apocalypse, of course. And the thing about him is he's legendary because he gets it right, and he's made his investors an incredible amount of money. But he also predicts these things all the time. I think somebody once said he predicted 29 of the last 3 crashes. So, related to housing is too expensive, right? Everyone knows that. I think everyone, in the last 6 months or so, everyone's been doing programs about this. You have a couple of these contrarians who are still fighting it, and you have some realtors who are trying to say, well, it's going back to a normal market. And do I hope they're right? I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're right. I think the market is going to go way down, and it's going to take years. I was just watching a program where they were explaining that the big housing crash of 2008, that started in 2006. It went down. It had a little rally. They call it a bear. They call it a bear trap. No, a bull trap, which is a bear rally. And then it went down even further, and it took a couple of years to really go down, and it came back up a little bit, but it stayed kind of down for a long time. Well, when I say stayed down, it kind of went back to where it should be, 4 to 5 times annual income to buy a house. It was sort of closer. It was still in the 4 to 6 range, but it was not insane. Let's put it that way. So, housing has been insanely commodified, and I think the problem, if there's one problem in housing, is that it has become this investment commodity, which it always was to a small degree, but now it has become wildly popular as a thing to invest in. And you have all these giant hedge funds and all these huge. I think there are 200 financial institutions that are investing in housing. And apparently, I think in 2021, 1 out of 2 houses were purchased as an investment. That is the problem. And when you say, well, there's a housing shortage, well, yes and no, because there's plenty of houses. It's just that they're all being bought up by the wrong people. So yes, if you're looking for a house and you can't find one, that's evidence enough for you that there's a housing shortage. However, it's not the number of units. It's sadly the fact that you're being outbid by hedge funds. And that's the problem. All the research I do, it always boils down to that. And these hedge funds with more money than Scrooge McDuck can do this, and I think they're all going to be sorry they did it, because I think in sometime in 2023 we will see this bottom out, and it'll be pretty epic as far as how far. And I don't know how far they'll go down. 20, 30, 40. Michael Burry, he throws out numbers like 50 and 60%, but I used to think 20. I think it'll probably be more. The more I look at the world, the global situation, I think it'll be more. But that, I mean, I don't see that as a bad thing. And I don't. If you are get destroyed by it because you relied on the housing prices staying up because you're an investor, well, what can I tell you? You know, it's a bummer for you. But I look. My philosophy is that houses are to live in. Right? It sounds like Xi Jinping. But look, I think when he says it, I don't know what he means, but when I say it, I mean it. It's like housing is for living, and I'm trying to speak to. I'm not speaking to investors. You know, if you want, I'd love it if you watch my show, but I'm not. I'm speaking to people who want to find houses, and I want to build families and want to live the dream in a house that they own. And so that's why when I say, look, I'm looking forward to housing prices coming down. Oh my God, he's a bleeding-hearted liberal. I knew it. Well, I kind of am, and you know, you might as well know, and you'll figure it out if you watch the show. I think the commodification of housing has become ridiculous, and I think it should be legislated against, or there should be some sort of federal mandate or some sort of federal regulation that you can't that housing is to live in, and it can't be an investment. And I don't know how you I don't know how you reel that back in, but I am a strong believer in that's if this is going to be the world we live in. I hope somebody will do something in terms of just banning housing as a commodity, as an investment. Yeah, you buy your house and you hope you can, you buy a big house because you have kids or something, or you want to show off, and then you retire and you sell a house and you move into something smaller, and the smaller house is cheaper, and you sell the house, your big house, make a profit, and you buy the cheaper house, and you have some money left over. Well, I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is these investors that don't give a damn about the neighborhood. They don't give a damn about the house, and you know, I don't think they give a damn about people. Otherwise, they would do something else with their time. So the housing, the everything bubble, and the pending housing crash is it seems to be inevitable. The bubble seems to be deflating. It's not popping like I think bubble is a terrible euphemism because it's like an inner tube deflating. You ever sleep on an airbed that had a leak and you wake up in the middle of the night and you're on the floor? Oh God, it hurts, achy. It's like that. It's more like that than it is a bubble popping. So you know, you see it everywhere. You see tech laying up. I mean, I did a show. I did several shows. I did 8 episodes about all the ways that I believe I believe it's just the research I'm doing. It's what people are saying. I mean, unemployment's up. The number of years one has to work to purchase a house is upwards of 10 to 1 in a lot of the nation, which is awful. You know, that's no way to live. So sorry. So I think you can expect to see housing prices continue to decline. The economy is not looking promising. Although you know, you gotta hold out for human ingenuity. I do believe that people are resourceful and people come up with fabulous ideas to survive and to thrive. However, the nation looks pretty bad. The division in the country, I think, is toxic, and it's not good for the economy. It's not good for anything. I mean, we have half a country thinking the election got stolen, and we have the other half of the country thinking the election almost got stolen, which I think it almost did get stolen in January 6, 2021. Again, your liberal realtor here. I do not think it got stolen by the Democrats. Anyway, this is not a political show. So I would just reiterate. I've said this many times before. This is not the time to buy a house if you're selling. Maybe it's not too late. Obviously, you're seeing prices come down. Obviously, if you're listing your house now, you're noticing that, there's no lineup. The people aren't lining up to buy your house. You're not getting the over asking offers. The prop tech and hedge funds, they're not offering. They're not completely out of the market, but that has cooled way down. They're not buying houses like they used to. And there's no good indicators in the whole in the whole economy that I've seen. I mean, the only thing I would say is positive, and this is why I don't want to have this to be the henny penny, the sky's falling network, is that human ingenuity and people, people are still buying things. I heard Peter Zion recently said, there's a lot of shopping, there's a lot of purchasing, there's a lot of people buying things. So consumer sentiment is at an all-time low, which is another serious indicator. But he said consumer sentiment is low. However, people are still buying things. I mean, there is a lot of shopping going on. However, layoffs, inflation going through the roof, layoffs going through the roof, home prices coming down, but not that much. I mean, clearly, home prices are now coming down across the country. But I believe they have a long way to go. So does Michael Burry. And globally, it's not looking good. The U.S. dollar is strong against foreign currencies, which ironically makes it harder for foreigners to buy our stuff. Which is, you might think, oh, it's good. At least the dollar is strong against foreign currencies. Well, that's a double-edged sword for sure. So when all foreign currencies are getting weaker, the pound was $1.03 to £1. I think that's the lowest the pound has ever been against the dollar. They're not buying our stuff, as you can imagine. These are so many of the factors where you're going to see housing prices come down. Now, look, if you manage to keep your job, let's say you have a federal job or something like that, you manage to keep your job, and you're not going to be unemployed during this recession. You're going to get, and you're looking for a house, and you're hoping you can find one, and you're horrified at the prices. Well, wait for my professional opinion would be, yes, I am a professional. Would be wait for 2023 to make a purchase. And I'm a realtor. I'd like you to be my client now, or other realtors would, probably punch me in the nose for saying this. But, it's if you're selling, sell now. Call me up. Because it's not too late. Housing prices are still pretty high. I don't see any way for them to maintain this level of value. Now, as Nick Geary says on Reventure Consulting, one of my favorite shows, I think you should check it out. There's a PE ratio, price-income ratio. PE, price-income? Price-earnings, sorry. PE, price earnings. House prices are too high, and his thing is, his whole thesis is, look, it's historically you just can't have this. It doesn't. The housing market cannot sustain houses that are 10 times the yearly income of the average income. So. So what it seems to me that we're headed for is, now the caveat being, how did prices ever get this high in the first place? Well, that's scary, isn't it? Because these investors can come in and say, they can put a gun to your head and say, well, you're going to have to live with your parents, which a lot of people are. Of course, a lot of people are doing. They don't have the money, and if they're laid off, they're really in trouble. So. That's what the $64,000 question in my mind is: who wins? Do the hedge funds and the big investors manage to pump up real estate value this high and keep it this high? Um, uh, Nick Geary says no. Michael Burry says no. Lots of people say no. That I think are intelligent and smart. However, this is a new world. You know, you have so much money at the top, and you have people are less in control of their lives than they've ever been before. Think about pioneers. You know, you weren't going to tell them nothing. You know, they were living out in some log cabin somewhere. You know, they were rugged individualists, infinitely more so than we are now. So I don't know, you know, we are, unfortunately, and I include myself in this group, I mean, we are so on the hook for these things that are out of our control. The media is pretty yucky and pretty misleading on both sides, I think. And it's very frustrating and confusing to know what to think. I mean, it's the whole crypto thing. What the hell is that all about? You know, a lot of smart people say no. It's the greater fool theory. It's all it is, and it's like tulip mania, 300 or 400 years ago in Holland, where you know tulip prices went through the roof. Why a tulip? Really? Well, they did, and now digital, you know, a blockchain, whatever, is going through the roof, and you know, Warren Buffett ain't buying it, and he's saying, no, it's greater fool theory or principle or thinking. It's not a theory, right? It's just bad thinking. That's what he says. Other people are more optimistic. It's over my head. But clearly, crypto has lost a tremendous amount of value, and that's people's livelihood. They invested and they lost all this money. It's awful, you know. Hope it wasn't you. Anyway. You know, the thing is, there's too much finance in housing. That's one. It's pumped up the market ridiculously high. That's two. It may be here to stay. That's three. However, four is a lot of people say that it can't sustain, because houses, ultimately, if nobody lives in these houses, they're not going to be profitable. So it's not going to work for these people. Or it will, you know, again, when you have so much money at the top, we're in a new space. We're in a new economic space where well, you could say you can compare it to 1929. The similarities are eerie between now and before this, you know, that we had our huge depression in the 30s. However, this is not, you know, like Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat itself, that it does rhyme. Well, focus on the part that it does not repeat itself. Yeah, it does rhyme, and we're seeing some of that now, but will house prices actually come down to a reasonable level, somewhere between 4 and 5 times annual income, which is, you know, that seems reasonable to me. Nobody knows. I think it will, but I'm concerned. I worry, because I think people should be able to buy houses. I think it's great. I mean, the statistics on home ownership are mostly good. In other words, people invest in the community, they start families and houses, they try to live the dream. Some of them do, some of them don't. But it's, you know, community, neighborhoods, families, you know, it's nice. You're invested. Equity building, you know, all these things, and they've made it harder. So I mean, I'm going to go psycho-liberal on you and say I think this is a case for housing being socialized or nationalized in some way. How do you do it? It's over my head. Talk to a politician. You know, I look forward to doing more of these episodes and going through more of this. I know a lot of people are opting out and getting the tiny houses. There's all kinds of, you know, ways people are adjusting to this, but it's going to be very interesting. One, I think house prices will come down, but will your job go with it? I guess that's another $64,000 question. We'll see. Well, I think we've talked enough about the everything bubble. I probably made it more confusing. I hope not. Thank you for watching if you made it this far, and have a great day. And add something in the comments. I'd love to get a dialogue going. Thanks. Bye.